Skulls.
I hear a dog.
Lions and tigers and bears. Oh, my.
Many talk. Where's my script?
It's okay. I forgot mine, too.
Many topics on deck tonight, including we're going to review the, well, not review it. We're going to give it an analysis.
Talking about the flu. Go get your Kleenex. Grab your hot toddy and sit down. We're going to have fun. Or toddy your hot one.
It's always better with Three Stooges sound effects. That's what I always say.
Totally.
Yeah, wise guy, huh?
Yeah, well, just always sneaking down on me.
Somebody's got to do it.
Welcome to Reel Deels.
Merciful heavens.
Farah is back. Not feeling 100%, so let's give her a round of applause for being a trooper. And
as I blow my nose.
Well, clear your throat, too. Bring it all up. Bring up on lungs.
I know, exactly. I got to get up that last lung, that the little tiny bit that's hanging in the back of my throat. Okay, I'll go in the other room. We won't get graphic on here tonight.
But she looks fabulous, and most guys, wish their wife looked dead good when.
Okay, get over it. We know, honey. You want something? Just get on with the show. He wants food. He wants me to cook. Poor guy.
Yeah, we're going to talk about The Last Jedi and some other.
We're not going to talk about the first burger that you've cooked in how many months today? You poor thing.
Yeah.
It's okay. You lived, didn't you?
I did. I just want canned food. I can just open it up. I don't like cooking. It's a pain.
Okay, get on with the show. What's our topics tonight? Hot topics.
St. Michael prayer.
All right, St. Michael.
The Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, amen. St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the malice and the snares of the devil. May God rebuke him when we humbly pray. And do thou, Prince of the heavenly host, by the divine powers of God, cast into hell Satan and all the other evil spirits who roam to the world, seeking to ruin the souls. Amen.
Amen.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Amen. Yeah, there's a topic that I got on the top of the deck, but tonight we're going to give something away, aren't we, Farah? What time we're going to do that at?
Your guess is as good as mine, honey. I'm just here.
Randomly?
I wasn't hired for my brains tonight. Okay, I've still got brain fog.
Get people to show up in the chat room because you have to be in chat to be able to claim it, I guess.
Really?
In comments. Yeah, like last time, remember?
No, you're making up the rules. I'm following along.
That's what happened that one time, remember?
You're Ren, I'm Stimpy,
they had
okay?
to be there in
tell me what to do.
5 minutes. When we
it's always nice when you tell me what to do ahead of time. So
inside the chat room or the comments.
At least put it in the little ticker tape over there so I can read along with you.
Okay. Everybody remembers last week, even though you don't.
Everybody. Well, tell everybody who's here.
I can't. I don't access chat during the show. No, tonight Deb Johnson's with us. Chris is on assignment in bed with a stomach flu, and Michael Norton's with us on time and delivered. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Intact, and Michael is in one piece now, minus one organ he didn't really need. Right, Mike?
Didn't need it.
Nah. Yeah. Perfectly made just the way you are. Thank goodness.
Sorry.
Don't tell me you have it in a jar somewhere.
I would.
No, I don't. I fed it to the cat. I'm not sure what the...
It's like last tooth I pulled. It's like I think I saved it, Michael, for 2 years. I was like, it's so cool. It's like, how can I throw a body part away? It's so weird.
I remember grade school kids.
It's kind of like nail clippings, It's like, who goes to the garbage? Is anybody going to find my body part in the garbage and do something strange with it?
That's probably what.
Isn't that what everybody thinks? When they lose body parts. I'm not throwing it away.
Lose it? Do you lose fingernails?
I lose brain cells.
Oh my gosh! Better move on before she puts her foot in her mouth or something. Then.
Oh, excuse me, foot? It's way bigger than that. Where have you been? Top of the hour, folks. Good night. Sleep tight. It is January. We're in flu season. Yeah.
I think we'll let's save this for after the world news. Here we go.
Frustration here.
Hot off the presses. We got to avoid the word news so that YouTube doesn't red flag us because we're not.
So we'll just say current events, shall we?
Oh, they'll probably flag that one. Every time they update
we won't say current events. We'll just say what's going on in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
How's that?
Well, unfortunately, someone's neighborhood in Raleigh.
Oh my gosh, this was just so horrible. Okay, Deb, look away, look away, look away. Okay, we're talking about horses, and it's not good.
I know. I saw it.
Oh, honey, I'm sorry. It's so bad. This is so bad.
I know. No.
This is so horrible.
Actually.
So the story is there's.
This is nothing new, folks. This is a repeated event, but the woman decided to call it in because she saw an excess number of bodies than usual.
Instead of just one.
Let's tell them what we're talking about. We're talking about Florida.
Yeah.
We're talking about kind of like, your back road where you're walking your dog or whatever. This lady is such a sweetheart. She goes and she takes care of these homeless dogs that are out there. They don't have anything to eat. So she's kind of like going and feeding them her leftovers. And lo and behold, instead of the usual number of dead bodies, wow, here's a fresh pile with one of my dogs chewing on something.
Ugh.
Ugh. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Ken. Take it away.
Her name is Rachel Taylor. They found dozens of horses are in their parts, various stages of decomposition. When this lady found, one of the horses, by chance, it was because the dog that she was trying to, give something to eat, one of them was eating on one of the parts of the horse.
Exactly.
And it was rather old, and of course things have been cold, so I guess it's been preserved for a while. But in the area of 179th Street and 129th Avenue, if you're all near there, all of the legs have been stripped of their meat. She said it looked like the animals were killed elsewhere and dumped here. We got hooves, bone, hips, and they've obviously been here for a long time. She worked for a nonprofit animal recovery mission. So she said that from the looks of it, most of the recent kills were just a day or two ago.
Isn't that
but that wasn't the worst of it. They said they found a short walk up the road, more dead horse remains, almost all of them next to feed bags. And Mike Summer, I recognize some of this. She said it's not uncommon to find animal remains in this area near US 27 in the county line. We've currently done about 20 investigations of horse slaughter here in this area before today. Miami-Dade police have combined the scene Wednesday. I think they found 24 horses when they went out there for remains, in other words, skulls
horrible
in various parts. Said to be, to do with ritual slaughter of some sort. So it's usually the domestic animals too. They don't go in the woods and get a squirrel.
We picked the nicest article, you guys, to share with you. The other articles are talking about satanic ritual abuse. What is it? Marumbe, Santeria. There's so many Colombe. There's so many different variations because you get the Puerto Ricans, you get the Haitians, you got the Mexicans, you got the Brazilians, you got everybody kind of coming up that way, and they settle in that panhandle area there, and they all bring their own little brand, and they kind of instigate whatever kind of stuff they're doing. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
What a shame. Poor horses.
Oh my!
That's an awful expensive slaughter. It's like, geez, it's like you could sell those. I mean, how many of them weren't healthy enough to be able to get a good value?
A lot of them go to dog food. That's not really nice, but yeah, it just. Why dump the carcasses? Why? Well, I think basically because for them to sell them after they've tortured them and practice their rituals on those poor horses, that the intent was not to infect other people. The intent was to make it a clean offering. So that's why they dumped it. If you can have a clean offering. It's kind of a oxymoron. Serious. As far as I know. I don't know. Mike, have you ever heard of them sacrificing these kind of... I haven't seen that since Michigan.
Yeah. I haven't seen horses. They'll do... it varies without being sick between babies and cats.
Yes.
So, no horses. But, there's no telling what they're doing, too. It's just, We'll have to ask Chelsea Clinton next time we talk to her. See what she's using.
Sorry.
We didn't put that.
Zinger got one in.
Yeah, you got one in. You got one of them backwards or backwards. What's that called? A conundrum. Wrapped up in a sarcasm.
Columbo.
Yeah, you got a double combo.
Just one more thing. Well, it's sad that they prefer animals that scream in pain. something to do with the, what they consider the energy release in their blood or whatever.
Another thing too, that's what I was going to say, Ken. It does have something to do with species. Okay, when Catholics go to confession, okay, kids, you're asked what is the species of your sin? Then the number of times. And when you're talking about species, like Mike was saying, one of the worst things you could sacrifice would be a human infant, an abortion. Okay, let's say you can't get a human infant. What kind of is next down the species chain that is just as intelligent? Dolphins, horses. So a horse is not only intelligence, it's considered to be a sentient being. It basically has the very similar emotions of nurturing and mourning the dead. It has...
Wait, you said an sentient being?
No, not a sentient being, but he has senses, Kenny, similar to humans.
Okay.
It's not a sentient being,
like,
okay?
I'm
just comparing it, okay? I'm just giving you like a little top... little line there to draw, and that's probably why they choose something that's so beautiful, so sensitive, and so loving. It really makes me sick. Yeah, Doris is right. Hi, Doris, Steve, Wade, Jennifer, Carmen, Rosalie. Yes, pigs are very intelligent, and unfortunately, pigs are abused all the time too. Gosh, horribly in Michigan. So yes, pigs are definitely used too for these sacrifices. Deb, have you heard of anything as crazy as this girl?
Well, as far as horses, it would take a lot to move 20 horses.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
They didn't seem to be with a truck or a trailer. And if these horses were going to go to a kill, that slaughterhouse would clean and pick every bone off a horse.
Thank you.
They even use their hoof.
Yep.
So this tells me it was either done for a sacrifice or somebody had one hell of a vendetta against the owner.
Oh gosh, that could have happened too. They could be cursing an owner.
Doesn't waste no part of a horse. It's all canned.
Yep.
Yeah. That's why I tell people, like, if you ever get so down in your luck that you are buying dog food, don't buy dog food. If you can get that old Sergeant's brand that just has cereal like rice and cornmeal or whatever, but don't get the meat byproducts like you're going to have the luxury dinner. Because it's going to have, pig snouts and, all the disgusting things that only Eddie from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation would eat. Save the neck for me,
so
Clark.
True.
Remember that, But, yeah,
so true.
You can only so much I'm beating this dead horse here, but... I haven't really heard that horses.
Bad.
That horses are. I never had a horse before.
That's terrible. I like horses.
A horse is a horse. A horse, a horse. They used horses in rituals. It was kind of new to me, and it would seem like it was very difficult to dispose of it. It'd be, so much larger, like it's cattle size instead of being small like a cat or, real big pigs, of course. But I don't think they use big pigs. They can dispose of all that stuff easy, except for big horses. But I guess there's one that might particularly go after horses. Maybe ones that they stole. That maybe they can get to, like
like Deb was saying, they're just, it doesn't make any sense. Miami's a pretty crazy area though, anyway, for witchcraft. And
because that voodoo, they had that voodoo down there in Cuba too. And.
Hello, Rose. Don't have to repeat yourself. We see you. Hello, hello, hello. Rose is like, I'm going to repeat myself. I'm here. I'm alive. Sorry.
Wow, I just realized something. We have our studio speaker on. Let me get the...
That's bizarre. Why would you have your studio speaker on?
Because I forgot. I'll have to put that on my checklist. I'll put it right
that's why, Rosalie said that Deb was echoing.
Oh, Deb's echoing? What about Mike?
Mike, say,
any echo?
Mike.
Hey.
Hey, I can't go by one person. I have to hear by everybody. Is everybody hearing the echo in this guest?
I'm not hearing any echo.
Like last week? No, I mean, in the chat room.
Thank you, because I'm sick.
Tell me if you hear an echo when Mike talks a little bit, as he comments on this topic one last time. Is there any echo in there like there was last week? Go ahead, Mike. You're a guinea pig now.
Uh-oh.
Oh, what's there to comment on this? This is disgusting.
Yeah.
I actually don't think if it is a sacrifice, I don't think it's voodoo, because they stick to the smaller stuff. Like chickens and cats and small things. I'm just wondering, it's just thinking out loud. If it's a satanic ritual, they do stuff where they want to put it inside the belly of the, I don't want to get grosser than that. Like death covenants, they put inside an animal where it's warm and dead.
Yep.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, that would definitely relate to a young child, young ritual woman type.
But of course they don't do that. They're friendly now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The evidence is overwhelming everywhere. Well, we don't do that.
No, never heard of that.
All right.
She stopped echoing.
This one's a little painful to get there. Yeah, it was just this Me Too movement. The feminists don't like it because it makes women look powerless. And I guess I see the point, because, women aren't like they used to be. You can't treat these Hollywood people. You've seen them, the way they dress. It's definitely Babylon. Mm-hmm. Like they're fragile, innocent virgins, if you pardon the expression. And I think that kind of like rubs people in the wrong way, like as say, it's very hypocritical, to say the least. But that's a lot of stuff to get with the kind of political part of it. But I think this thing has gone too far. It can be used politically to perpetrate fraud, to get an agenda done and so forth, to get revenge. Remember, hell knows no fire. It's women scorned. We know in some cases that people made money when you sue them for sexual harassment and so forth. That suddenly the workplace becomes a hostile environment.
Yes.
It's like, oh crap, I'm next to the new gal. If I look at her the wrong way, she'll like file sexual harassment charges. Or when I first heard this is when the Clintons were in office and they were doing this. I thought it was unjust because instead of going through a grievance procedure, grievance with the boss, you go straight to the government. You not only get fired, but you might be, put on some sort of blacklist or something even. And I thought that was unjust because nerds, don't even know how to ask a girl out. Can you imagine them stumbling around and she doesn't like it? If they don't like you or they don't like that the fact that you asked them out and you're not really stalking them, it still is treated as sexual harassment. Unfortunately, the good and the bad go together when it comes out, and when they come up with these allegations, there's always going to be people who have the wrong motives. So when you're saying, all right, they're coming out against Weinstein, finally, on the other side, there's other people being accused, and it's purely to gain on something, to gain political ground for the sake of your party or whatever cause you are, to make money. We didn't see too many people asking for money yet. That's one of the good things, I guess. But you wonder, it's like, why now? Why were you silent all of these years? Even people who knew about it that weren't a victim. So it's that people are getting sick of it if you read around.
Well, Ken, what about the women that dress provocative? Okay? Yeah. They want men to look. You can look, but you can't touch. Now, how inviting is that to a man when they see a woman dressed provocative?
Yeah. Remember the old construction work? Did you see the cat calls?
Mm-hmm.
Even on the old Looney Tunes cartoons, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the same thing. Like if I went to the bank and took my savings out of like $2,000 and left it on the hood of my car and sat across the street at a park and just watched it and expected nobody to touch it or take it. How stupid is that? Yeah. It's like, that's all my savings, and I'm just going to let it sit right there and expect nobody to touch it and take it because that's my savings, and they should know it's mine because it's sitting on my car. They should never touch it, never look at it. Please.
Yeah.
Advertisement.
I can quote Arthur Fonzarelli, the great philosopher from Happy Days. And I quote, shortcake. You remember when you put on an ad, someone's going to answer it. He was talking about when she got all dollied up with makeup and dressed like a, streetwalker.
Totally.
And then some punks started trying to hit her, and or hit on her. And then when she was resistant, a rape was probably gonna happen, at least in the show, because there was 3 of them. And then he showed up at the right time. You know, there's a problem here, fellas. You know, and so if he had to intervene, she probably would have gotten, attacked. We've heard for years from Madonna and all these people that that's how they got to the top. Madonna says she used the casting couch to get there. And now suddenly we're supposed to act like she's a victim first at that march that happened a year ago. Mm-hmm. And then now, with some of these coming out who've been dressing provocatively and having porn-like scenes in movies, now suddenly they're the victim. What do you guys think?
I just want to address somebody's comment because I completely agree with you, Athena. Nobody's trying to simplify. What we're trying to do is we're trying to separate. All right, there's a gradient here. All right, I agree, workplace violence, workplace harassment, workplace sexism, workplace hiring practices. It sucks. It's not equal. It's not fair. I don't know if it ever will be. And the sexism and the insults and the grabbing and everything else that either nobody pretends to see, nobody ever addresses, it's horrible. That's horrific. No, it should not happen. What we are differentiating between, though, is we're differentiating between somebody that actually gets physically attacked, on a regular basis, maligned, so much so that, their boss or their superior keeps walking in and saying, hey, you got a nice set of whatever, every day or a few times a week, as to opposed to somebody that just gets walked by and said, hey, baby, that's, a nice set, and, she's wearing something that is very, very form-fitting, low-cut. Nobody on this planet will tell me that if you're wearing a Speedo in public, you're not asking for somebody to look. Now, if you're wearing a full covering and somebody says that to you, that's totally inappropriate. But if you're wearing something that you're trying to be attractive, you're asking for attention. Now, granted, the less you wear, the more wrong attention you're going to get. So there is a line of difference. And I really don't think that men, or women for that matter, because I've seen a lot of very powerful women really treat men like dogs and really hold them back from salaries, hold them back from anything, opportunities, raises. So it does work both ways. What we're trying to say, though, is that there's a big difference between somebody that's had a comment made and somebody that's actually been touched and harassed to where they've been relegated to nothing more than a piece of trash or a piece of furniture. Mm-hmm. And that's just, it's sad. And unfortunately, some people are always going to have the mindset that, women are furniture. Some people are going to have the mindset that, men are furniture, such as the feminism attitude right now that men are disposable. And, the big to-do right now, I don't know if you guys have seen this, is, the male robot to please women. Why would you want to do away with men? I would have nobody to drive crazy. It would be no fun on the planet. I mean, because women, they either love me or hate me, but I don't drive them crazy. Men, on the other hand, I annoy with such joy. You should know, Ken.
My brothers.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a shame when they take advantage of, the bad people take advantage of something that it's almost like that's the whole idea, is to exploit it so it takes the actual meaning and the positive part away.
And that's the problem.
And that is to stop guys like Weinstein and their casting couch.
Oh, my gosh.
It sounds like,
Well, it's not just Weinstein, okay? Before, I'm sorry, Deb and Mike, but I have to stick my 2 cents in because I've been watching this stuff and it just, because of my past with, modeling, cable, TV, auto show, everything I did. Casting couch, oh my gosh, it was a constant rotating door to see who could do who and who could get where. And there were tons of Oprah Winfreys. There were tons of people that had money that were like, oh yeah, I got somebody you can meet. Why? So you know what? So they could get their needs taken care of and then maybe pass you off to somebody who may or may not have a job possibility. It's disgusting. So
they set up these young people.
Yeah, Deb.
People were doing this for their careers, too. To see, they wanted to further their career.
Exactly.
And they didn't care if they had to sell their body or not.
No.
Yeah,
that's the sad part.
They had second thoughts later.
I watched the news. I saw it on the internet where Harvey Weinstein got his face slapped twice by this guy who said, "Can I have a picture with you?" And I guess he wouldn't do it. He was at his rehab.
Oh.
He's in his rehab 24/7. He only comes out to eat at this restaurant that they have there.
Yeah.
Somebody wanted to take a picture with him, the guy, and Harvey refused, so he smacked him twice in the face.
Well, unfortunately, he's really brought this on himself with, see, it's not just a few people, all right? And we can talk about any celebrity, any political figure, and all the accusations. The accusations that actually pan out are the ones that basically don't go away. They don't want money, they want justice. Mm-hmm. They're not being paid by somebody else, or somebody isn't paying a law firm to defend them. They actually want justice. They want this to stop. They want the behavior to stop. They want some form of an example set so that they don't see their girlfriend get cornered in high school by the same teacher that molested her. Mm-hmm. Or they don't see that guy over there in accounting say, well, you're almost due for a raise. Why don't we, go out for cocktails and, we'll talk about it. Oh, let's do this at my house. Yeah, let's make it after 9. My wife's out of town. Nobody knows. This is the kind of cruddy stuff that happens everywhere in all levels, okay? I don't care if you're McDonald's or Dunkin' Donuts or if you're working
everywhere.
Exactly. Or a roller rink, or you're up there with, the Harvey Weinstein crew working for at Oprah. Or David Letterman or everybody else. This sexual harassment happens, kids. The thing of it is we all have to speak out when it happens. We can't tuck it under the rug and go, well, I just want to get out of here. Like Deb said, I just want to get out of here with some money. I need a little retirement account. I just, I got to get my job and then I'll say something. No, because what happened to Corey Haim? What happens to these kids that nobody says anything about? They lead lives of self-destruction because through that soul wound, what happens? Mm-hmm. The little offenses build up and all the little demons move in and they destroy themselves. Why? Because no one spoke up. They couldn't. And it's hard. It's they say it's hard to be a woman. But in my opinion, from all the men I've known, I think it's harder to be a man. Because women can bounce
and a lot
back.
of times what they do, like Ken mentioned earlier, they'll blacklist you.
Oh yeah,
so that you
real quick
never get another movie in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm. No.
It happened to Paul Sorvino's daughter.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's so common.
She's a great actress.
And that's so common. We see it everywhere. I think that if we were to look at it, especially when we're talking about exorcism, possession, oppression, and, the splitting of personality, like Mike likes to call parts, and I like to call, just the little pieces of my demons. Mm-hmm. Because they all leave like their little Reese's Pieces behind so they can come back and come and grab them anytime they want. But a woman, she has... For whatever reason, God gave her the ability to compartmentalize and be stronger so much more than a man. A man, you strip him of his dignity, you strip him of his self-worth, and he is going to internalize and die inside. Mm-hmm. And it's so, I mean, you have to correct me because I'd love to hear your take on this, but I think it's so much more difficult, this sexism and feminism on a man than it is a woman.
Yeah, if it happens.
I do.
It's different. It's dealt with different,
Exactly.
And then how about the alienation of the ones accused that didn't do it? But a lot of good relationships, you'll hear stories about, he kept asking me out over and over again, and finally I said yes. Well, we're supposed to believe through the Me Too movement, reviving the old idea that no means no. And then people have been writing articles out there, women, who have been saying that, that's not necessarily so. They like playing the game, they said, this gal did. She said that part of the game or the courtship ritual is to say no. And that even my mother wouldn't go out with him again. She said no a few times. She says, well... if you shave your mustache off, I'll do it again. But, should he have stopped right away because no means no? And it's not the same as, like in the scene in Back to the Future when the Biff was trying to, put himself on Michael J. Fox's young mother,
Exactly.
That's different. That's rape, But whenever they can't, all they do is create this divide between men and women, and then you're like thinking, okay, no wonder why people are saying they what is it like? I forgot the percentages about these sex robots and stuff. If you create this huge divide, next thing you know, if you're looking at the robot, hey, no muss, no fuss.
That's scary.
No, what do you call it? A contract. What's that called again?
No commitment.
No
commitment.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. But especially, because at the end of the relationship, the men end up paying child support most often, and then they want to have that whatever that contract is called.
Yeah.
Just to protect themselves, and I don't know. It's like it seems like it's really pushing to make the men be alienated from the women, and vice versa. The resentment.
And who is that? Who's the father of division?
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
And like this weird thing, I was listening to some broadcast, and it reminds me of someone from our chat room had said about this child who went to a California clinic. Oh, the baby was born. Right, and then they wanted to know if you wanted to leave it blank so you could change the gender later on.
Oh my gosh, no! It was like if they left. Okay, you know how on the line when you have a little baby and they put 22 inches long and he weighs this, and then they do that. I'm not a nurse, but they do that 4-square check thing where they check fingers and toes and they check breathing and response. The baby's eyes should be closed, that kind of thing, and is he coughing? And then they leave when it says gender. They leave it open in case the parents want to assign gender at a later time. How the hell is this possible?
Yeah.
They got to glue parts on it? You going to sew them on? What are they taking home, a cloth doll from Sears? Bloody
In
hell.
California, you can't get counseling to change from being one of the genders. You can only change from heterosexual. You can't change to heterosexual, or you'll be in trouble with the law. You'll be fined or possibly jailed.
Exactly.
And that's the kind of nonsense that's going on there. They're promoting no man, no woman. And they're paying for it, and they're mandating it. And that's what I think the Me Too movement's going to, the nut to shell on that thing.
I know there's also a movement too to for the birth certificate not to declare the sex on the birth certificate. The same thing. It's just going way back and getting insane.
Oh my God.
Is that one thing, Michael?
Yeah.
This is turning into a diabolical world, whether people want to accept it or not.
Yeah.
If the ones who don't want to accept it, those are the people who are wearing their blinders.
So us left as an older person, you're waiting for one of the chastisements that were prophesied at Fatima to happen, because you're like, stop the world, I want to get off. That's why you got to avoid the media, but most importantly, you got to protect yourself and your kids, and
that's pretty important.
And do as much as you can when you're being, raising them, because they're.
And if you have friends that are, struggling kids, if you have friends that are like thinking, well, maybe I should gender assign, maybe sit down and talk with them and ask them, how is that going to help their kid in the future? Because we have to create dialogue with our neighbors, no matter who they are. They might be dirt-eating, strange people from a different country. But if you say hi and goodbye to them, and they happen to talk to you and say, I don't know, my wife's going to have a baby, and we don't know this, it's your opportunity to say, well, what's going to be in the best interest of that kid 20 years from now? How do you want your child to live his life? We each have a responsibility to help our neighbor in any way we can.
Can you imagine someone choosing to be so different that you potentially will be, and then making laws to protect you so that they go to jail for kind of like, oh, I thought you were a man, And in the military, one of the problems why they didn't want to allow people knowingly in is because they're taking drugs, say, the women who have decided they want to be a man are taking drugs to stop their period. And all of those type of things. That's and crazy. Menstrual cycles and all that. And that has side effects that make you not psychologically and physically ready for combat. So people aren't thinking about that. All they're doing is thinking about they're alienating people who have made a choice about which sex they like better, bi or whatever. But this is totally different. You're done something against nature, and you're expecting a woman's period, I'm sorry to say it, to stop just because she decided that she wants to be a man, and they put that body part on there, and it's not going to stop that other thing from happening. That's just horrible. It's just insane out there, We'll move on to the next topic. So
yeah, it's kind of sad. Oh, boy,
this is an article I thought was interesting, and it'll lead us right into our Ask a Demonologist segment, also about house blessings.
Do we get our little squirt gun out and go?
And house blessings in the topic, but this one's hotel blessings. I think I told that story recently about a St. Louis hotel and a case I worked on, and they were telling me that the people who worked at the hotel were seeing shadows come out of that room.
Ooh,
and
good.
People staying in that room had horrible nightmares and got depressed, and they said, "Can I get out of that room? I can't sleep right." And they said they saw shadows standing by their bed. Well, it turned out that there was 2 suicides in that room over a period of time.
That's awful.
Not back to back, but and so that we know about this without going into the theology or details of how that stuff works. We've done it on previous shows. We're talking about what can happen to a hotel room, and guess what? What happens if one of us checks into that place? You think it's going to be nice for us, or it's going to try to oppress us just as much? It already has a domain there. Someone took the oppression and took it to the limits and hung themselves in there. And the hotel blessings is something that I remember even hear my mother said.
You remember that time we stayed at that one hotel, and I refused to sleep on that bed, and I curled up in the corner on the floor, and I slept there? Now you know why.
Right?
Seriously, I was not sleeping in that bed. No way.
That's the problem, too, is the bed.
Sarah and Ken, when I came out to see you, of course I had to travel across the United States to get there.
Yeah.
But I made it. I had my holy water. And then when I went to L.A., I brought holy water with me there.
Good.
I told my husband, I said, this is the best sleep I've ever had. I slept out there 2 nights. I was out like a light. The bed was great. Oh, my God. Everything was beautiful.
Isn't that wonderful? Holy water, folks. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. It's like when you go to Mexico, they tell you don't drink the water. This is like when you go traveling, take your water.
Oh, yeah.
No, or
you know what? The airports won't let you.
Right.
Yeah. No kidding. Now you got me doing that. Yeah, we're still getting over a little bit of respiratory infection, but the wife is more recent. Mine's a little further out. The hotel blessing thing, it's just a practical thing. You want to sleep.
Yep.
I mean, you have enough trouble sleeping away from home. And
I always do that when I go to hotels now. I always bless them. There's no telling what happened in that room.
Oh,
so
my gosh,
if you don't think of it, do it. And the other thing is like, let's say you know the hotel. What if they switch the beds around? If that bed is the one someone slashed their wrist in and died, then that they move it to another room. Well, that room is tainted because the bed is. It's worse if it's the bed than it is the room, obviously, because you're right there. It's like the person that put a voodoo charm inside the pillow of the woman who was a housekeeper, and Exorcist Gabriel Amorth, God rest his soul, he's passed away. That's a perfect example. Beds are very intimate. That's why you put a green scapular under the mattress, or I say sew it inside the pillow. It's better because that's what the dark side does. Let's do it too. We'll put a green scapular inside the pillow.
I have one inside my pillowcase as well.
Just in case.
Yeah, you can work on converting somebody.
Either dies or they're murdered in the room, they should just get rid of the mattress.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I agree.
And if it doesn't have any stains, that's all they judge it by. They don't judge it by a horrendous act that was committed there, because they could have took, most of the time they take sleeping pills or something like that, and then they die in the bed. It's not usually something gruesome, and hanging. Those are the most common methods. And not as much as slashing your wrist in the bathtub. That's harder for people to do.
It's messy too.
Yeah.
It's terribly messy.
It's like it's quicker, they think, or easier to take pain pills and then you sleep and never wake up again. That's painless.
Yeah.
Suicide is painless, like that old MASH theme.
Sorry for housekeeping.
Yeah.
Because they get shock.
So I
oh yeah, and Athena's making the point, you guys. The blankets are never clean. Okay.
Right.
Bring your own
blankets.
blankies.
Yeah, it's nasty.
Bring your own blankies, please.
Yeah, go in there with that ultraviolet light.
No.
You see a chalk outline on the floor. Next, go to another room.
Oh, there's a big old splotch on the ceiling.
Yeah. And the shape of
Okay, Michael's got to talk about towels now. Oh, please, let's not go there.
Towels, the heck no.
At least the towels get bleached, okay? At least they get...
when I was at the Sheridan, Michael.
I know one time when we were doing a New Age ministry at San Francisco, some of my team stayed at a haunted hotel, the Hotel Whitcomb. I lived local, so I didn't stay at the hotel, but they were traveling in. And one of the girls on my team says, I looked in the mirror, and this lady walks by, looks in my mirror, it wasn't there. You know, she's Christian, so she had the authority to kick it out. Said, get out, do not return. So the thing just vanished. You know, it was no kidding. Just,
oh my God.
The spirit just walks in, looks in my mirror. You know.
Yeah, so if you're going to buy, like, if a hotel's closing up and you want to buy, like, hey, they got a king-size mattress really cheap, we need one. Or, you know, like, think twice. You know, have it blessed before you enter. It's like people buy.
It's kind of with anything, you know, you bring in that's a large item.
Oh yeah, pillow. Did anybody buy a used pillow because it's a down pillow of feathers? You know, and that just people would.
No, I would never do that.
Because you don't find them so easy and cheap anymore, right? So someone might go, "Oh, this one's in good shape because it was for a couch, and all you got to do is put a cover on it." What if it's one that somebody died on, laying their head on it of a drug overdose or something, and it does seem to be tainted. Sad. Yeah, just from
thinking.
Yeah, and then you ask yourself why later on, if you didn't know already, like why would it be tainted? You know, because there's hospital beds that they share with patients, but I'd say the same thing. Hospital. If you go and check into a hospital room.
When I was in the hospital, I thought the same thing you just said. I wonder who died in this bed.
I know.
Well, me anymore, like especially when I was traveling across country, guys, to meet Ken, because I thought it was like just a hop, skip, and a jump between Florida and New Mexico. I'm like this dingy blonde going across country, going, oh yeah, I'll just stop by and see him. And I'm stopping because I'm not really afraid of anything, because you know what? When you've seen this stuff, it's like, humans? Yeah, you guys scare me more than anything else. So you don't care where you stop. I stopped in this one place. I was calling Ken. I says, oh my gosh, this is so weird, because somebody had moved the Bible, and how they have in every hotel room, they have like a little packet of stuff. Well, the packet of stuff wasn't there. It was in the bottom drawer of the dresser. So when I go in hotel rooms, I open the drawers and look under the beds to see what's there, because I don't want any surprises. Okay, I don't want people leaving their stuff behind. I don't want stuff planted in there like strange bundles of weird looking waxy type plants, with strange little like claws that look like fingernails in it. I don't want any of that stuff. So I have a tendency to look at everything in the hotel before I bed down. It's just habit now. You just don't know where you've been. Have you seen that stuff, Mike? The little bundles that, have all these herbs and like these wax. What it is, it's like the innards of goats. It's like, oh, that's attractive. Yeah. So, that stuff is just like that.
If you're in a hotel, always lift up the bed sheet.
Oh, are you kidding me? You got to look at the little tiny crack of that bed mattress.
And look for the bugs. I always look for the bugs.
Yes. Yes.
No. Sure, the service is changed. The linen's changed.
Gosh. Well, and the funny thing is that they spray them. They steam them. But it really takes a lot to get rid of those. Yes, Valerie, bundles, seriously. Okay, those are specific. Those are like principality curses. Those are specific spells that come with their own little set of cockroaches that they bundle up, and they wrap these things together, and they just put them in little places, and underneath beds. They put them in anywhere, like up on the top closet shelf. Yeah, of course. And you think, oh yeah, this is kind of cool. I wonder if it'll smell good if I light it. Well, it's kind of weird looking. It kind of looks like somebody's guts. Oh, and what's that pokey thing? And oh gosh, it poked me. I'm bleeding. No, you don't want to touch anything like that either. No. Nope.
Or also, if anything looks like a small root.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
A little teeny root, and it looks like a rock, but it'll sometimes look like, something you don't even want to talk about. But if it's a little root, small root.
Yes, exactly. Oh gosh, yes. Yeah, and why would people leave something like that behind?
What did they call that back then? John the Conqueror route. That's what they called it back then.
Oh, interesting.
That's weird. John the Conqueror.
That was used in black magic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, people, when you guys are on the road, you guys are targets, whether you're in a bar and somebody wants to slip something and either steal your kidney or your cash. I mean, I'm nobody. I don't really have a lot of anything, but I just don't trust. You know, I don't trust when I'm walking into somebody else's place that I'm going to, like, completely be okay. So, yeah, I've got the covering of the blood of Jesus, you guys, and I got my blessing on me. Yeah. But if I stumble into something, I want it gone. I want it gone right away.
Yeah, don't wait for something to happen, too, because especially if you have the kids and guys tend to not experience that stuff. They're not as sensitive, you know. That's the way God set it up, and they're the last to believe it. Yeah. And they're the last to be affected, at least in noticeable ways. You know, they get more, I guess, short-tempered and stuff. And I mean, it was even obvious in the Amityville, the parts of the true story on that. But, yeah, just do it anyway by default. Don't wait and get up and investigate. Just do it just to have a good night's sleep so you can enjoy your vacation. And in the hospital, too, so you can enjoy your surgery. You know, you can do it in the hospital, bless the bed, and all that stuff. And
yes, Cecilia, she was saying root, and I apologize for the images, folks. We have to be aware of these things when we travel, that our world is not, we're not setting up a tent and sleeping in it. You know, we're trusting other people, you know, to have a clean space and nothing to happen. And I just like to be cautious. Okay, Elizabeth Bennett wants to know, why would somebody want to do that? Why would somebody want to leave a curse behind for you? Or for, how do we know it's for us? How do we not know that it's for the cleaning lady there to pick up and take home so that her life falls apart and she loses the baby she's carrying or something? We don't know what sickness people that, you know, worship Satan or practice witchcraft, we can't know their mind.
You mean in a hotel room? Why would they curse it?
Yeah.
I'll tell you one reason. If they didn't like the service, they would curse. I think they would curse the hotel room if they were unhappy with the service, like you know, and they did it just to, and then it would actually affect the room they're in too, and the people that who come into the room again. But other than that, they're, you know, most people have motives, even if they're stupid motives or petty.
Right. Well, look at the hipsters too. Now
they'll practice
shamanism. You know,
the hipsters,
and they think they're blessing the room. You know, out of stupidity.
Gosh,
right?
You're so right.
That's true.
You're so right.
Yeah, when they do all that stuff, magic powder. Poof.
Yeah, I'm blessing us. No, you're not. You're cursing the heck out of this place.
Basically. Yeah. And people don't understand. Well, geez, I had the weirdest nightmare when I was there.
Right.
But you're fine after you leave. Poor Michael is itching himself to death thinking about bed bugs. We can change the subject.
Bed bugs still exist. I thought that was there.
I know. It's just
Oh, they do.
It's so awful.
Oh, Michael, chomping on the spiders.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
Yeah, that's what you do. It's like one thing takes care of another. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about house blessings in the detail, but there's a nice little prayer in here. I don't know the source, but
oh, that's a good one.
Almighty God, I ask you to send your angels to be with me in this place to protect me from all the assaults of evil, and please forgive any wrong that has been perpetrated in this room, and grant those who offend you the grace of conversion, dispel the powers of darkness which may be in this room, and protect me this night and those who will sleep here in the forthcoming night. Jesus, I trust in you. That's nice because it's thinking about the next people that come in there.
Yes.
But I haven't seen this one before. I mean, that there's a lot of prayers that we'll do a show sometime on breaking down the prayers. Maybe we'll put one of our priest friends on here too to give us this theology, a sense of it. But you know, we tend to explain it in layman's terms so that we make it simple for everybody, and even young people in some case, if they're allowed to listen to the show, because a lot of the topics aren't for kids, or anybody under 18. But
that's why we have our warning that our shows are for mature audiences. It means, Deb, you and I should go to bed.
No, you aren't. No, you aren't.
Your wish is my command.
Can't do that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Valerie says she can't believe it. She's like, oh my gosh, you learned something new. The thing of it is, folks, is that if we don't share, how are we going to know some of the darkest corners that we need to be aware of so we don't stumble into something?
Yeah.
we have to be careful out there.
We're talking about, blessings and the sacramentals. We mentioned it in 3 shows relating to blessing and protection and so forth. And we can take it to this next topic here. But we can go to break, and then you want to come back and do the giveaway then? That's up to you, and or you want to do it now? What would you like to do?
I love it how he puts me on the spot. Actually, folks,
good. Another giveaway.
I'd love to have. Okay, you guys. All right, he put me on the spot. I have to be honest. Okay, so this is a come to Jesus mea culpa moment. Folks, I've been so sick that I wrote names down in a book, okay, on my little lines. You guys have been, sending the little invites and sharing our stuff all week. Guess what? Not only could I not find the book, I could not find the book for Ask a Demonologist. Okay, so Ken's in there
tell me.
with his hands on his hips, at like 5 o'clock going, well, I thought you said I wrote it down. I thought you said it right here. Okay, now I've got...
Oh, that was for the Ask a Demonologist question.
6 tablets on the bed, okay? One for my Etsy listings. Okay, one for my adoration, because I was supposed to get adoration today, but I was sick. One for, I've got like a book for everything.
That way it has a grocery list.
And I can't find anything to save my life, okay? So, okay, we're going to have a double giveaway next week, okay, guys? So please forgive me. I'm going to have a double giveaway, but I got some really cool new magnets. Magnets. And I got some even cooler designs, too, for... all kinds of, what do we call it? Swag bag.
Maybe you can fix this, or finish this thing, because it's cool. It's an ornament.
I'm going to finish
the
your
Reel Deels. I think that's a good giveaway.
Okay.
Hang on your tree for next year.
Yeah.
It's like it's the 70% off sale. Instead of being free, it's free this week.
Oh, Michael's got a really good question for Ask a Demonologist. We're gonna cover that question in Ask a Demonologist when we come back.
Hold on.
I'm gonna write that question down right now, Michael, because I know Deb is trying to walk Una, because Una's jumping out the door, isn't she?
Yeah, see, that's just commercial break. It doesn't say it's over.
Oh, Deb, you're just doing too much. Okay, folks, don't go anywhere, because we're gonna be right back. Even though we don't have your swag, we still got you in our bag, okay? So don't go nowhere.
Oh, sorry. I was rocking the music here.
Okay, I gotta write this question down now.
Yeah. This is Kenneth Deel along with my wife, Farah Rose Deel, and we're going to talk to you real quick about our books. So we have 5 books available right now and 1 on deck. The books are the Catholic Demonologist Handbook along with the Workbook and Study Guide, and the Christian Demonologist Handbook along with the Workbook and Study Guide, and that's for all denominations. Well, we also have the Haunting Self-Help Guidebook.
Any and all of these books are going to help direct you to not just the natural causes, prevention, prayers to assist you, to keep you and your family protected.
Yes, real solutions done by real people in the field. And we're sharing our knowledge and information to help you help yourself, or help a friend or a client if you're in the field yourself.
www.swordsofstmichael.org or
www.catholicdemonologist.com. You can buy the books direct and get them personally signed.
Are you looking for something special to remind you what a mystical experience prayer can be? Are you looking for something beautiful to hang in your car for protection? Try Prayers by the Bead. You'll find a variety of original, one-of-a-kind Anglican prayer beads, Lutheran, Methodist, Catholic prayer beads that are made to your specification using our materials or your materials, made to order in just about any design that inspires you to get prayed right up.
Farah has about over 100 in her inventory rosary pre-made. And guys, yes, there's plenty of rosaries and designs for you to give to your father, for yourself, for your own prayer life.
We have a variety of exorcism medals, including the St. Benedict cross, beads, anything for your spiritual warfare needs. So, if you'd like some more information, find my page on Facebook, Prayers by the Bead.
www.etsy.com/shop/FarahRose.
Or on Facebook, Prayers by the Bead.
Okay, let me start.
It's a good thing somebody said something.
The defeat of the Israelites. Okay, so this relates to the sacramentals that we're talking about and how people put a faith of a super kind of a superstition nature, and it's a little bit like that. But isn't this reading, without reading it verbatim, that the Palestinians were basically winning against Israel? They killed about 4,000 of them. And then the Israelites decided that they were going to bring the Ark of the Covenant into the mix, but when they regrouped to go for the second round of the battle. And before they did this, the Israelites started kind of roaring and chanting, with confidence that this is going to be it. Hey, it's like their pregame, a pep talk from the coach. And it was so loud when they started doing this that the Palestinians heard this, and they're like, whoa. And they started talking amongst themselves like, what if they bring in the gods that kicked Egypt's butt, and if you pardon the expression, and gave them plagues and everything, like in the time of Moses. And instead of Palestine getting weak and running away, instead it energized them to try even harder, to be even more, like, hey, there may be gods joining them in a battle that kicked Israel. Mm-hmm. And so they prepared themselves. And so the Jews went into the battle, and they lost 30,000 estimated foot soldiers, basically lost it, and they lost the Ark of the Covenant. So what's this say? That says that sometimes we get these hauntings and people don't change their life at all. And they put on a St. Benedict medal, and they don't make any spiritual corrections in their life.
Which is pretty important.
And then they're like, why isn't it working? Of course, they don't tell you that they're doing all these things. Most of the time they leave their atrocious lifestyles or whatever out of the equation. But let's. I just want to hear from some of you, and we don't have Christopher Sampson with us tonight. I was interested to hear what he has to say, but I'm sure we'll get plenty. Go ahead.
When they came out with all these plagues, weren't plagues a punishment from God?
At the time in the Old Testament, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the Jews were asking, like, why us? Why did this happen? We brought the Ark of the Covenant in, and we lose 30,000 more men, and we lose the Ark of the Covenant. It's like putting your star player, and you save him for the halftime, and then he gets injured. And it's like, oh, my gosh, and we still lost, and we got slaughtered. And you have to ask, what was the motives? But
there's a different type of way that God reached out between the first books, the Pentateuch, and the Gospels. And what Ken's talking about here is the style that God used was, look, I sent you prophets, I warned you, you're being bad, now I spank you. And then he got nice, and he said, you know what, this isn't working, I got to try something different. Smart parent that he was, and he said, okay, I'm going to take a part of myself, and I'm going to send you my kid. Be nice. or you're in bad trouble. So I think if we look at it, we have to look at how we are going to benefit from it. That's basically the bottom line. Wouldn't you agree, Mike?
Pretty much. I mean, you look at a lot of the Old Testament, too, as a lot of lines you said. So I have these discussions with people, too, that went through trauma.
Yes.
Why is God different in the Old Testament than the New Testament? He's not really. If you look at, like, well, he was very bloody. Yeah, if you look at the people he told to go slaughter, look at their lifestyles. Those are the ones sacrificing the babies. Yeah. They were, having the sex with demons and stuff. And God goes,
Mike, they were
cannibals. Do not pollute my bloodline.
Go kill them. Yes.
Yeah, God expects more from us.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah. You mess with my kids, you get the horns.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Exactly right.
And he was patient with the Israelites. How many times is he patient with them? For he spanked them. Stop it. I'm going to send somebody in the country. Stop it. And so finally, you know what? Okay, I warned you. How many times I say stop it? Right? 300 or 400 years. Okay, you guys going into captivity. Here we go.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
Yeah, the Jews had more responsibility under that covenant than the Palestinians did. So if they start to act like the Palestinians a little bit, like they did with Solomon, when Solomon, even as the king, and he allowed his people to, he had the authority to stop it.
Oh yes.
That suddenly, you're in more trouble than you are if you're a Palestine. He expects that, and it continues even today in other examples of wars between two countries. That how Israel is, like today's Christians. That you saw that oscillation in the Bible timeline of it goes up, goes down, they go into exile, they get taken over by barbarians or Babylon, or whatever, Egyptians, and then they come out, here comes the prophet, and we had that in Christianity too. If you watch the Bible, what is the name? Christianity, the first 2,000 years, the first 1,000 years.
That was an interesting history,
yeah. And they had things you can see. Charlemagne, the champion, comes, and the Byzantine Empire falls. You kept seeing the same thing. So mankind has been doing this with God since the beginning of time. And it's like they go up, they go down, they come back again. This time the covenant hasn't changed. It's still under Jesus Christ. But God eventually was forging new covenants. What 3 times in the Old Testament? 3 different covenants. Not really changing anything, but you got Moses, you got Abraham. Wait, am I missing one? I guess I'm not an Old Testament guy. So. But yeah, I was just like
the Old Testament. Really, it's almost like one of those. It's like one of those really super difficult to read, like psychology books or like engineering manuals that Michael Norton can discern in 2 seconds. It's like you look at him and you're like, obey. Okay, now, what is it? Noah beget this, beget said, beget this, beget that. And then they put the tent over here and they had lots of kids. It's like, wow. Because it is a lot. It's a lot to absorb, people. A lot. Big time.
Yeah, it's a good, it's kind of I guess a more in-depth look to why St. Benedict medals and sacramentals may not work for you, that you have to look deeper like the Israelites didn't. They thought that the Ark of the Covenant, it was going to do everything, like bringing a relic to haunt. If you were a self-proclaimed bishop and you're not, and you promote all these things that were, in the Old Testament, basically forsaken and chastised, you're not going to get away with today because Jesus' new covenant didn't change any of the 10 Commandments. He didn't say it's okay to kill people now under certain circumstances, abortions or, property rights or anything else, right?
Yeah, you would think so.
People think, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Yeah, that's, in a way, it's just the same God.
Yep.
He's softened through Jesus. So that's the benefit that we have.
When we go to war, isn't it?
Yep. I agree, honey.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, hey, guess what, Deb? Did you know that 10 years ago we started, you, Alan, your brother, and me started Demonology Today radio show?
Wow.
That was 10 years ago.
And it's going on 11 this October.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. No wonder you want a vacation from him.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I've done with him longer than you.
You have. Oh, my gosh, you have.
That's too long. Hope your brother Al's doing well. Haven't talked to him lately.
Funny. I'm sorry.
My brother, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because
Do you know what I read today?
What's that?
Now, you know Stephen Hawking is a genius, okay?
Yes, he has a brain cell.
Yeah, he does. But he says that people who believe in heaven, that's nothing but a fairy tale.
Well, maybe he ought to try playing with my fairies.
I really feel sorry for Stephen Hawking after all he's endured, you know?
Well,
yeah, I know.
Exactly. I saw that movie. I haven't watched it about him. But
you did watch it? What'd you think?
I haven't watched it yet.
Okay,
That's what I'm saying. I'd like to watch it, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, we may. Well, we'll see what we can do about that. But on the house blessings thing, and we'll move to the demonology question. Let's get the one from the chat room
first, and then we'll do a couple more.
Yeah.
Yes, he is an atheist, Zulma. He's very much a confirmed atheist, and unfortunately, sadly, the majority of people in this country that are so incredibly educated, for whatever reason, they like their atheism, which is kind of strange because it's really not a belief in anything. So why would they tell themselves that they have a belief system which doesn't amount to anything?
Yeah.
All right, so this is a great question, Michael, and thank you so much for asking this, because I think this really does bring up some good points. I think we need to talk about this. Mike, I definitely want to hear from you on this one too. His question is it just me? I get around certain people and have a really terrible feeling about someone. Is that possibly because they have a dark presence around them, or is that just just kind of me?
Wow. Dark
presence around somebody.
I guess you got to get a little more details. Like how often does it happen, and has he been right sometimes or often?
He said that it started for him when he started having a deeper prayer life. That's a good. That's a really good point. What do you think about that, Mike?
Oh yeah. Well, I kind of had that discernment kick in too early on. I knew what was going on because I had some people at church, and they were nice people, didn't know anything about them, but I couldn't stand to be within 5 feet of them. And it was just I couldn't figure out what it was. I can't stand that person.
Wow.
Not knowing them, and it turned out to be later that those people did have some pacts with demons they had going on, some severe stuff.
Oh yeah.
And actually ended up working with them, right? Yeah.
Wow.
God, how we can actually pick up on people like that.
Oh yes.
I mean, and they're so nice to your face. They're going out of their way to be so nice, and you're being nice back to them, speaking figuratively to them.
Yeah.
But it's like you can't wait to get away from them because you see that there's nothing but evilness around them.
Right.
They've done something, you don't know what it is, but you want to get away from them.
And you can't tell physically by looking at them. They're like a great person.
Oh,
you're just going, ugh, inside. You're just like, ugh, whatever this guy is, get away.
Yeah.
I always tell people, go with your gut feeling.
Yep.
Your gut's not going to lie.
Oh yeah, and your first impression sometimes, if you don't let your senses.
We are all given a gift from God.
That's right.
Yes.
Everyone who is on the face of this earth is psychic, but they don't know it. That is part of our gift, our gut feeling, and you need to go with it.
It's what's left over from Adam. It's what's left over that we got from being kicked out of the garden. We have a survival instinct.
And it goes the opposite way if you're not spiritual. It'll be
that's
useless,
true. You'll be
or
attracted to it.
It won't be existent. Like Deb, you had this horrible experience. I think that some of these things get honed up because God gives you that so you can recognize a presence when it starts to come back and deal with it.
Yes.
Whereas you might have had nothing, but that's not in your case. You didn't have nothing initially, and then you get it later. Kind of like when they say that when a person goes blind. A person will go blind, and then suddenly they have a real keen sense of hearing. Now, people might give like a physical or psychological part, but it's probably really something that's just something spiritual. One thing overcompensating to make up for the missing element that's not there anymore in the senses. And sometimes people
exactly they'll have better hearing, they'll have a better smell or a taste. Because even if you're not eating food, you can still taste things on your tongue. I know for my children, like when they spray on their cologne, and we're about to have dinner. It's like, I'm telling them, do you have to spray that in here? I could taste it on my tongue, even though they sprayed it in their bedroom.
Yes, what's wrong with those kids?
Isn't that funny? Yeah, our senses are connected in some ways.
Oh, yeah.
We
all have senses. We need to use them better.
I agree, too. And the point I wanted to tell him is that this isn't just him, because that was his question. Is it just him? And does that mean that they have a dark presence around them? It may not so much be that somebody has a dark presence around them. It may be that they don't even know it. Because a lot of the people that we meet that are oppressed don't even realize how they could have possibly invited anything in. So they don't actually know how well that they are dancing with their devils. Yeah. They think that everything's fine because, see, grace works like this, kids. We all get it. We all get the grace from God. But the more we choose sin, the more gray our ability is to see what's out here. We can't see it. So we choose another sin, and pretty soon all sin looks like the truth. What's your problem with it? This is okay. This is okay that I do. This is okay that, I cuss and sleep with my neighbor. What's wrong with that? I mean, it's not like, I'm hurting somebody and breaking up their marriage because your meter has been covered by the grayness of your sin. So you're not going to really understand why somebody is turning and running from you because they don't feel comfortable around you. But it's the depth of your sin and the demons that you dance with. You're not even aware of that is going to repel somebody that basically doesn't want to be around you. And consequently, a few times, Ken and I have been at certain meetings. We have carried a relic with us or have been around people that have said, oh, yes, I'd like you to meet somebody at an informal gathering, and have not told the people who we are, so they don't even know who we are yet, and we've been in the same room, and they need help, they need healing, they need some prayer, they need some spiritual warfare assistance, and before they even have the opportunity to meet us, they can't stand being in our presence. It works the other way. You can be so loving and so compassionate, and you can want your neighbor's good so much more than your own that somebody that's demonized is going to run away from you. Don't forget it.
Yep.
I'd like to address Mike in the chat room.
Yes, please do.
He mentions that I guess the people that he sees the darkness over, they are old Navy buddies I reconnected with, both not just atheists, but more anti-God people. I get the creeps. And you know what, Michael?
What do you say?
This person here, Farah, is the person you want to talk to because she's a Navy brat.
Oh, my gosh, what I do with those Navy boys, I will never admit.
Yeah,
I already told it in confession.
I suspect PTSD, just like, that, not Alzheimer's, what's the other one where you drink seawater and dementia. Because you've had experience with dementia, and then spiritual warfare prayers got rid of dementia for 6 weeks instead of the blessing of the sick, or the extreme unction, those prayers. So it said it was more of a spiritual ailment. But anyway, something I wanted to throw in there was the opposite side of things. When people are oppressed, and sometimes they don't realize they are, like some of the charismatics get so swelled with pride. They think they see demons and good people. It's because a demon does that to keep them away from good people. We've had people go to a priest if we knew it was good, and then they questioned the priest being good because they said they saw a demon on him, and they came up with almost like paranoid schizophrenic type attitudes about how the priest was behaving. And the reality was it was all their perception that was being distorted. They're seeing demons on people when the reality is there was no demons on them at all. Those were people that could have helped you, and so they're hallucinating it in a sense.
You stepped in my pet peeve, Ken. I have so much problems with that with people I work with.
Well, how's that?
I just want to take a bat to some of these charismatics. Like, shut up. What I've been doing to them lately is I've been drilling them. What did it look like? How do you know? How did you receive it?
Exactly.
Who told you? How'd you test the spirit? And they start backing off, you know? So what you're saying, it came from the soul, not your... No, I saw it. But what you're telling me is it came from your soul, and there's no checks and balances. They get really upset, you know, because we have to now. Because we have to undo all this garbage before we can go do stuff like that, you know? It's frustrating. You hear my frustration, right? I'm ready to take a bath.
I'm ducking over here, okay, Mike? I'm ducking.
Right.
But I totally hear you, and I feel you, okay? This is how I feel you, brother. This is the number one thing when we're trying to help people, and we find out people have been helping people, and they say, well, I feel like this, and I feel like that. When we hear somebody is relying on their feelings, we're like, okay, so obviously you didn't test this spirit.
Right.
You didn't put it through its paces to find out, is it going to go away? Is it spirit of God? Is it spirit of truth? Is it going to preach the blood of Christ? Or is it just because you just feel that everything it's been telling you is fine? And this is very, very common, especially in the new charism of the which is really frowned upon by our bishop. Thank you, Lord. These charismatic groups, okay, that are laying their hands on, and they're just merciful heavens. What they're doing is they're inviting spirits in. Now, I'm not saying that everybody with a charism is inviting demons, and I'm not saying everybody that's charismatic is demonic. I'm saying that it is the majority of people that are deluded into believing that they have special gifts and charisms. Why would you want a gift of tongues? Why would you want a gift of spirits if that's not your gifting, if that's not what God wants you to do? Why would you ask to step out of the right order or authority of God? Why would you want that? And that's because everybody thinks it's so wonderful. It is not. It is not. It is one of the least gifts to want. It's one of the least useful gifts to want.
Yeah. I call those people to fake it till you make it. They don't have a gift.
There's lots of those out there.
I like that. Make it.
Oh, yeah. Rosalie's got a great point here. You know, God told me to. Oh, my gosh, Rosalie, I got to get this off my chest right now. Jesus, please forgive me. I'm in a group, okay, of like, 40 people, okay, and now here I am, I'm on the finance committee, and I'm leading this, and I'm leading that, and I'm in a group because somebody told me, they says, you need to go and you need to, volunteer to be president. I'm like, why do I want to do this? I got plenty on my plate. Well, because you need to see what's going on. Okay, Rosalie, listen to this. I go in this group, all right, now, I know where the head is. I know where the contender is, and where do I sit? 2 steps away from the contender. You know why? To the right? That's my position. All right? I want them to know I'm there and I'm watching. Okay, so halfway through the voting process, they're talking about the changes and everything else. This person gets up and says, God told me I'm supposed to be here. And I'm like, oh, merciful heavens, Jesus, can I please go to the bathroom right now?
Right.
Because I'm not going to cause scandal. I'm not going to insult somebody. I'm not going to make them feel bad. The thing of it is I'm secretly praying. I'm saying, oh, Lord, please give her truth. Please give her knowledge. Please don't let her. And she continued. And I'm like, oh, my gosh. I came home and I told Ken, I said, Ken, if I ever say in a public forum around more than one person that's not my priest and not you, that God told me to do it, I want you to take that baseball bat and I want you to hit me upside the back of the head, not once but twice. And if I say anything, hit me again. Because what this does, people, is this totally diminishes your relationship with God. This diminishes your relationship with Christ to nothing, and you're putting it on a billboard like he's some kind of jack-in-the-box cracker you can pull out and display. Excuse me, I went there, Jesus.
That's right.
But if I don't say it, who the hell's gonna? I'm sorry. Yes, Rosalie, it was dang funny, girl. That's why Ken carries the bat and I carry the gun.
That's right.
I don't trust him with a gun. I'd be scared. I'd be ducking.
You know what, Farah?
I got a samurai sword.
Farah, that's why I don't believe in charismatic. I believe in discernment through the power of prayer. Yes.
Precisely.
And if they come to you,
they
give you the message only. You're not to go around blabbing it.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it may not come all the time either. And just because the first thing that pops your mind is
You know
always the
why
truth.
Kenneth doesn't come all the time? Because it's not ready. It's not your time. It's not their time.
Sure. Yeah. See, Deb knows this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's hard, folks, okay? I'm not ragging on people that do say this or do admit this. I'm just saying, pray for these people. They need some help.
Yeah.
They need some help.
Yeah.
They don't understand that there's a possibility that who they're hearing from is not their guardian angel. They don't understand that yet. And the best thing that we can do is either pray for them or ask to pray with them. Because I guarantee you, you sit down and pray with somebody like that, they're going to get blocked. They'll hear nothing. They will see nothing. Do you know why? Because you truly want the best for them. You truly want God to touch them and bless them. Go ahead.
Ask the question.
Yeah.
And she asked a question, and I'd like to answer that.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. Rosalie said, I always wanted to ask, how did you hear him? What did his voice sound like? Well, for me, when I'm in prayer, I get pictures, I get images, and I get words.
Words,
I don't actually hear with my ears.
Yeah.
I see it. So I get images. I just want to let her know how I receive them. Michael, I know you do the same thing, and how do you receive yours?
I get pictures as well. A lot of times I use a sketchbook when I do the ministry outside to show these people because I don't have to translate anything to them. You'll get it right away. But like you said, too, sometimes when I'm praying, I may not get an answer right away, but over the period of a week, I may get something put on my spirit where there's an answer and I'm comfortable with it. Like I should do this. But it's not like God goes, thou shalt go do this. It's like, I'm getting the feeling I need to go in this direction. That's how it responds. It's or sometimes use your internal voice or the Holy Spirit can also convict you to do something too.
Sometimes. I agree, internal voice sometimes, but mostly it's pictures, words, symbols. That's how we hear it. And if it's really strong, it's our internal, like you said.
And it drops in right away. I noticed too. Yeah, it drops in right away. You may be thinking something like, hey, I'm going to paint my car red or something like that, and all of a sudden this thought drops in and interrupts it. You go, well, that was weird. What I think this for? And all of a sudden you feel it's a very godly thought, or something's coming. It's very peaceful. It usually drops in something like that too.
Yeah, you start to ask a question.
And I share the same wavelength, and I think Farah, you go through this too when you're in discernment.
Yeah, and basically,
if it was that easy,
the point I'd like to make to people is that don't think that God is going to sit there like your best friend and go, hey, Janet, what the hell are you doing? He doesn't talk like that, okay? He doesn't. You're basically going to when you're in the deepest form of prayer and you're hoping to hear God's voice, a lot of times you won't. You will sense a presence, a loving presence, and it could be your guardian angel. Because your guardian angel not only stands right next to you to protect you, but he also stands directly in front of God so that he immediately knows how to help you. Okay? That's your guardian angel's job. So your guardian angel will relay things that God thinks are a good idea for you. You may be thinking about getting a new job. And your guardian angel, as you're in prayer, may say, try this business next week. And the thought will just occur to you, and you'll be like, well, where did that thought come from? That was your guardian angel. And that's how God is going to speak to you. God is going to speak to you in the ability that you can receive him. Because there is no way any one of the saints that have heard God's voice were ready to hear it when they were in a place where they questioned what they were thinking. So until we can get to the point beyond our prayer and beyond our thoughts to where we can go into a deeper level of prayer, we're going to be getting the urgings of the Spirit from our guardian angels. So don't beat yourself up. Pray in all things. And if you have a question about a thought you've had and you've written it down in prayer, pray on it some more. Take it to your pastor. Say, okay, what do you think about this? That's the best way to do it, because if you do not have a spiritual director or spiritual authority that you can converse with, you're going to be left wondering.
Yeah, a lot of things, just like people go to Ouija boards and ask, as teenagers, like, will I marry someday? We can't do that in prayer and then expect answers. If we do, we might get answers in the same way you would on a Ouija board. It's like with St. Teresa. St. Teresa still got tested even when she was that we'll just say deep in her piety, a demon appeared and tried to pretend to be something other than. I think that might have been the case where it said appeared as a Blessed Mother, and she had a different outfit on, didn't have a rosary. Is one of the saints. I hope I didn't get that one wrong. It's been a while. That's the problem with being cradle Catholic and doing this work a long time. The old stories fade from memory unless I've been repeating them a lot.
Isn't that the truth?
And it appeared, and then it showed its colors when she tested the spirit. She realized, I don't have discernment for every spirit, even in the state. And I think that's a part of humility, that we can't always expect an answer to a prayer. Sometimes the answer to the prayer is not getting the answer. You're praying for a particular job. You get no answer whatsoever. That's the job. You're not going to get it. And then you realize that, that you didn't get it. And then a great job comes later on by default. And then you're like, oh, I get it now, God. You and me. We got, you know what I mean? So don't pray to expect some verbal answer. That's just like on that old show Taxi, where Louis was in the hospital bed and he wanted to become he's like, just send a lightning bolt, flash once for yes, twice for no. And he thought, I forgot what happened. It was something like that. And then you can't set him up like that. Don't set up God or, or saints or anything in prayer that so that you kind of trigger them in discernment, because that becomes necromancy in a certain way, because you're not doing it in all humility. If it's your will that you answer me on this and I need it, because there's been things I still don't get.
Isn't that the truth?
Like even my mother and father died 8 months apart. I'm just like, what's the point?
That was really difficult.
And it's like to some degree I understand it sometimes, and other times I don't. I'm just like, why did they die so early? I know they were in their 70s, but and some things like that. It's because it's just like it's not important enough, or it's not good that it's not needed that I know it now. Maybe it has to do with spiritual growth that I must find out on my own. It's like some old kung fu story.
Exactly. It's all in their time, not your time.
The quote.
Like I totally agree with you, Ken.
Yeah.
You heard from them, or you had a vision, or whatever came to you. It was in their time, not your time.
Always.
That's how things work.
Some old Chinese philosopher had told the person who developed a style of kung fu called Wing Chun, the one that Bruce Lee and his predecessor was known for. He told the person who was coming up with that style, the purpose of a cup is in its emptiness, which means sometimes you don't get an answer because you're supposed to fill it. And I don't know if that makes sense. And you know
what? In that sense right there, Ken, that is the essence of meditative prayer.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot be filled with God, with the messages from your guardian angel, until you give everything of yourself and empty yourself in Him at the foot of this cross that is waiting for you just to dump everything. Okay?
Yep.
The more you hold on to the pain, the more you hold on to the anger, the hurt, the more you hold on to all this stuff.
Yeah.
There's no room for God to talk to you through your guardian angel. You have to give it up.
It took what?
Nothing enters a closed fist.
Years?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. That's how long it took.
Nothing enters a closed fist, folks. You have to open it.
That's a big one. Keep
Our
providing.
video's interrupted again.
What? Our stream got interrupted?
Our video is interrupted again,
No, it's all right. It's fine. Ignore it. I see the stats. It doesn't say anything.
Oh, cool.
That's just one person.
Refresh, you know why? Because
everybody's got problems on computers or whatever.
My feed kind of got locked up. I'm going to refresh real quick and see if that helps.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't had feeds, so yeah, we'll carry on.
Yeah, I got no problem broadcasting, so everybody's having a problem with being individual.
I haven't seen anybody have a problem. It's just my feed locked up.
Well, yeah, it's delayed. Okay, I guess moving on, and somebody has a question from chat, as it says in the bottom, more questions from the comments and the chat room that's on thereeldeels.com, which is also where the link is for the show. And I wanted to get out of the way real quick. The disposal of burning items. This has come up before, too. When the Exorcist is appointed, he gets a manual that basically they're expected to read. And it's kind of like the employee handbook. It's got the prayers in there, and it has some preliminaries and some details that, or protocols and specifics for the exorcist who's been appointed. Well, we've seen the book before, and I do have in there about burning the unholy items, and Gabriel Amorth mentioned it in his first or second book, An Exorcist Tells the Story. And for laity and everybody else except for appointed priests, and priests who have that book, for example, and, do not burn the items because of the way you release the spirit by burning the item, and then sometimes it goes to the vulnerable person. Yeah. And so you can't burn it and assume everybody is in a state, we'll just say a state of grace even, spiritual protection state, that they're all safe when it's burned. And that's one of the reasons why it's not done. And, don't be present when the priest burns it, for example, because as Gabriel Amorth says, burn it to an ash and then cast the ashes in water. Something like that. But those are accompanied by specific rituals and, binding prayers and so forth that are done by the appointed, by the bishop, exorcist. So that's why we don't bring it up, because people want to know, hey, I got this mirror some ghost hunter witch cast into a demon into trying to supposedly help me with an infestation. And then what are you going to do? It's like, what's the priest going to do with a dresser with a mirror mounted on it?
So true.
So we give them an idea how to dispose of it safely for everybody in the world, where you dispose of it and yourself, because we don't want to keep dumping stuff in there like it's the Warrens Museum on the priest,
right?
Even if he's an
scary,
exorcist.
You guys.
When you don't have to, sometimes you're not sure, and it's like you just want to get rid of it. So we say, hey, what was that thing you came up with the other day, Farah? You said when you it's like when you have kitchen grease. Throw it in there and dump it. Put something disgusting in there so no one uncovers it in the dump.
What I said was,
I can sell this on eBay,
What I said was, if you can't figure out something disgusting that nobody will touch, let's go into your kitchen. What is really, really disgusting and nasty that your husband, nobody wants to touch? How about, let's say some hamburger grease? Really gross. You can pour it right over it. How about an old rotten potato? Have you ever smelled one of those nasty things? How about let's go through your open the door. It's a refrigerator. How about that thing in the very far back on the far bottom that looks like it's growing tall green trees with a white fuzz on the top? Why don't you just rub that all over it? Now, you may need, face protection to breathe, but try it. Nobody else will touch it either.
How about a kitty litter box?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that was mine.
That's what Ken said. Kitty litter box.
They said we don't have a cat.
Oh, that's so gross. That's so gross.
It's just like that huge ammonia and whatever. It's like you can't. How about digging up the dog stuff in the backyard and putting it in a bag?
Oh, God, that's so
gross. Who would go in that? Who would go, I wonder if there's anything of value in here, because some people probably go to the dump.
Ann says, what are we trying to get rid of? We are trying to get rid of an object that is possibly cursed, or an object that is of questionable provenance, or in other words, we're not sure where it came from, who it came from, or why it came from the person that gave it to us. So we're trying to get rid of something that is a potential occult item or a potential cursed item. Yeah, it's just, we have to be a little careful. No, Anne, you did not miss anything where we're talking about haunted items, cursed items. We don't keep them, folks, and put them in a little glass box and keep them in our house. We don't put them on display for everybody to see them. No, we don't.
Yep.
No, it doesn't go in the museum.
No museum. No, this is not something that, people, have we forgot what museums are for? Okay, I did so many posters for natural history museums, with the little pith helmets and everything like that.
Yeah.
Museums are places of what? Wonder and awe. What do we wonder and awe about? God's creations. Wow. Mammoths. Wow. Plants. Wow. Oh my gosh, look at that artwork. How brilliant was that? Are we in awe of demons? Are we in awe of something that's haunted and possessed? Hell no! You want to get the hell away from it. Excuse me for saying the H-E-double-L-L word, but no, please.
So if I hear you clearly, Farah, you're saying I can't sell them for fundraising for ministry. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Michael. Your wife is going to make a pincushion doll out of you if you start that.
Yeah. And to watch
She's
that
gonna
too,
start
like
selling the pattern to your ministry.
Right.
Let's all make a pincushion doll of Michael. He's got to stop that.
now, if you have the idea to send it to Johnny Zaffis or something like that, or whatever, don't send it UPS or mail, because you're putting the postal worker, if it's really demonically infested.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if it's in a package. He puts it in his truck. It'll be like the end of the Dybbuk's box movie, where it was called The Possessed, the movie, where the Jewish guy is like transporting it across town and a train hits him or something. Remember that? And it ends up on the street. No, seriously, that stuff happens. You got to get rid of it.
Totally.
Don't pass it to somebody. Don't sell it on eBay. It's like, what are you going to do? Next time you sell someone on eBay, you want to put a cobra in there? Because you're handing them a snake. Don't do that. Don't mail it to somebody even in that sense. Don't mail it to your priest if he's out of town.
Yeah, he doesn't want that showing up on his breakfast bar. Get real.
No kidding.
Go to your local priest and have your priest get rid of it for you.
Well, that's just it. If you have a priest that knows what to do with
That's what they know what to do.
A lot of them don't, sweetie. That's
right.
the problem.
That's right.
And what are they going to do? You're going to have to pass them the information that has specific binding prayers and so forth. And
You're passing the baton.
We're totally passing a baton.
Most of them won't know what
Passing
to
the
do, and they'll
fruitcake,
have their own
too.
idea. Like some priests will say, use some sage, because they only know from TV. They don't know.
Oh, yes.
And that's the same thing for disposing of this stuff. Sad but true, so we'll see how it comes in the coming years, because there's going to be such a fine line between right and wrong ways to do it, that the wrong ways are going to get punished bad instead of just lightly, because it's like both sides don't have patience anymore with stupidity. You get punished bad on the dark side, and then the light side says, hey, we don't got time for this. You got to get your rear end to church now, because, I'm not going to cover you forever.
Right.
And, it's like, it's definitely, I think there's signs of that time. The woe to the earth and the sea, the devil's come down to you, and great wrath nobody has a short time. Mm-hmm. So any questions out of the chat room, go ahead and pop them up, Deb, or, Farah, if you see any in there. But the All Suicides Go to Hell came up lately from a Catholic group. And that's a newer concept that came with denominations that preceded the medieval times, Renaissance, because the Catholic Church and the Orthodox always believed that God only knows the state of the suicidal mind. And Farah, if you can project on this, because we had conversations about this because it's ghosts, and that's where we did a lot of research on ghosts, because we don't, sometimes you don't, when you're younger, in your teens and so forth, you didn't know demons affect you like that. You just thought it was bad ghosts.
No, you really didn't. That was the problem of being, in your tweens to 25 to 35. You were still trying to figure out, the difference of, okay, what's going on with this person? Is this kind of a ghost that's not going to go away, or is this demonic? And you're still trying to figure that out. That's the great thing about being old. You can get to the bottom of the pan real quick, and you can see if it's burnt or not. Yeah. What he's talking about is the discernment of the possibility. A lot of the ground that I learned and I was exposed to, I have to admit, was in lighthouses and older houses, where you might have somebody, like Michael was saying earlier, there's a crime committed there. Somebody was either abused, hung, murdered, that sort of thing. Then you had the possibility of unrequited love. You had a human that refused to leave for some reason. So you had a combination haunting that might have something ghostly, which, there just is there's just no explanation on earth for, kids. But it won't stop. It doesn't matter how you pray the ghost away, how you pray for it to go on to heaven, how you deliver the place. The scents, like almond, rose, rainwater, linen, fresh laundered linen, bleach. The scents won't stop. The gentle swishing of curtains won't stop. There's nothing to frighten you. But ghosts do exist, whether people want to admit it or not. The problem is when you have a haunt that consists of the demonic, which is scaring the blazes out of you, and a ghost. And, we had a case similar to what I had a long time ago, where I believe that we may have, which I really pray and I hope that I research and find this, because it's got to be somewhere, that there's some reason that I am seeing evidence to the fact that there is a human spirit, a godly given spirit that ought to be with Christ purgatory spirit, but for whatever reason is trapped, but it's almost acting as, it's not frightening the people, but there's also a demonic spirit there. It's almost as if it's warning the people that I'm nice, that's evil. But there's no words, there's no writing, there is nothing that the people are aware of. So I'm looking at the evidence, and Ken and I are looking at the evidence, and we're saying, this is kind of strange for a natural human haunt to act like this. So we're going to be investigating that further, and we'll let you guys know how that goes. It's pretty strange. I haven't, like I told Ken, I said I haven't seen that in a while. I haven't seen a ghost act like that. It's not normal. Like I said, you never talk to a ghost any more than you would a demon. But you observe, you make notes, you pray, and you discern, folks.
You know, one of the sad things is some of the suicide, and you'll hear it if you really research the ghost stories and stuff. And I mean, because even Rosemary Ellen Galley's Encyclopedia of Ghosts and Spirits has legends in there that are true purgatory ghost encounters. And someone chronicled, and sometimes they got them from the church. But one of the things is that sometimes the spirit has to relive the day that they committed suicide.
Yes.
And you might catch it. You might see part of that from their perspective, and they don't know you're there just because they don't know you're there and they don't acknowledge your presence. But you see it doesn't mean that it's a residual, like it's somehow recorded into, you know, the metaphysical surroundings, like the limestone in your brick basement walls. That's bull. I just posted our 2015 Fellowship of the Swords TV video talking about residual. Residual is a what's a good word? It's a farce. It came from the science, if you call it science, pseudoscience, parapsychology people who didn't believe that a spirit exists in the afterlife. Instead, they try to explain it off with everything. And I know that everybody just loves using those old parapsychological terms in the old days. And 10 years ago was still part of it. Now it's more spiritualism again, you know, Fox Sisters or whatever, even if it's Christian or whatever. And in a way that's good, in a way it's bad. And but that's where it came from. It came from an atheistic mindset, pseudoscience, residual. But that's what might happen, you know, that you might see on an annual date when they committed suicide, that you see that echo, you know, what people consider an echo, like an echo, but it's actually the spirit. Pray for it. We have on our website now, but you have to go to Catholic, swordsofstmonmichael.org/WP prayers for ghost. It's a 7-day prayer.
And it works.
Yeah. And
especially
it's
if
one
it's,
way to,
you know, a human.
Yeah, and a purgatory one, because if it's one that's working with devils because it's condemned, no, it's not going to work. You got to use the same prayers you use for demons with those. So we're talking about spirits that have, they're in a hanging position, they're on the on-deck circle, but they're in community service. They're in a place of learning. Something's got to get done before they can move on and actually go to heaven. So I just wanted to bring that up. And I wish, you know, it's like we had this veterinarian back when I was younger who took care of our dogs and stuff. And his son was one of those ones who made straight A's in school, and he got a B, and he killed himself.
Oh, gosh.
But, you know, see, the problem is these other denominations that are more new, and I mean the last 500 years, they go by this Bible only, the 66 book version, instead of like the 72 or whatever the Catholic Bible is. And they go by this direct kind of personal interpretation, and they come up with the idea that all suicides go to hell. That's where it comes from. It comes from people reverse engineering the Bible. But it's always been known. There's even gravestones that you'll find in Europe where people died before Jesus was here and after, and the belief that you should pray for the soul, like in Maccabees, pray for the dead, because you can still do a charity to them. So if someone you know committed suicide, your son, someone close to you, don't give up and pray for them. Ask God to have mercy on them. Offer masses for them if you're Catholic, or and there's rosaries and all that stuff. Don't give up, and don't ever think that it's done. Wait until the end of time when you meet them in heaven. And they thank you for the prayers.
Well, they need the prayers.
Yeah.
Ken, get out of purgatory, because we have to go to purgatory, be cleansed in order to get to heaven.
Yeah. So that's a big one. So moving on.
I do encourage everyone to pray for their loved ones who have passed.
Yes.
Because no one's guaranteed a ticket straight to heaven. We have to either go to hell or we go to heaven. We go to purgatory.
Yep.
And that's where we go to be cleansed before we enter the kingdom of heaven.
One way or another. C.S. Lewis, who never was Catholic or Orthodox, he understood that too. I think that C.S. Lewis is a very wise person. And not just a great author. So one of the questions that we can address really quick, too, when do you need to get an item re-blessed? It was a question last week, I think, Farah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And I don't remember, what was the scenario? They thought it might need to be re-blessed. I can say about a house, but let's say the item.
Don't remember. It was one of those unusual things
yeah, I know.
Do you remember, Michael? Because I was sick.
No.
Okay. Deb, maybe not.
Yeah, she wasn't here either.
Okay, I think the only thing, we'll just say what makes it to where it needs to be
Go
re-blessed.
ahead, wait a second. Does Michael remember?
No, I don't. I can't remember what the question was. One needs to be re-blessed, an item?
Yeah, when an item might need to be re-blessed, and I think I listened to the show, but I don't remember it.
I mean, there's some extreme cases. I mean, like if you sell it as blessed, it's not blessed anymore because it's an assignment attached to the sale of the item. If the item is used for something evil or sinful, it doesn't matter what it is, then it's been blessed before. Even a house, if you think about it, that, yes, you're going to need to be re-blessed. In other words, if you offset it with negativity, the negative of being evil, sin, even in the slightest, doesn't necessarily have to be a cult practice, it's just a mortal sin. That's when you would need to get it re-blessed, I think, the place or the item itself. Any other scenarios anybody come up with?
Item causes any action, Ken.
Yeah, an action.
Get it blessed.
Right.
Were they wondering if it needed to be, instead of an action, like if it wore off, like the way batteries have a shelf life? I mean, seriously? Do you think that's what the person...
Maybe, probably, because it's not encased.
Yeah, so it's like, I was wondering what their...
So many hands have touched it. It's like,
Yeah.
Oh, let me see this. Let me see that. And everybody wants to see it. Well, I would have it blessed.
Yeah.
And then maybe if you were going to sell it, have it encased.
Yeah. I'm not sure where they were coming from. It's like, what was the example?
Through hands and hands, it's like, no.
Yeah, I don't know if they would have to be re-blessed unless it was desecrated. Like well, not necessarily a relic, but...
Well, Athena brought up the fact that if something was resold, like if you had medals from a rosary that were taken off and it was resold, it might be a good idea to get them re-blessed. It can't hurt anything.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's not a sin to have it re-blessed, but sometimes it's good to play it safe.
Yeah.
When you sell it.
I would.
That's a good point, because like here in San Francisco, there's an occult store I step into every now and then, see what they're selling. They were actually selling old Roman Catholic exorcist kits out of boxes or something.
No way.
And they were selling the occult store and stuff like that. Somebody buys it. There's no telling, like you said, it went through the occult store, right? They're selling it. No telling what they did to it, or the owner that had it before.
Oh boy. Yeah, see, it works on the dark side and and anytime they encounter the opposite, evil encounters good, it offsets it or whatever. So
just clean it off. Yeah, get the junk off.
Or black magic want it to desecrate it.
Yeah, if they purposely desecrated or curse an item, the curse would have to be removed, and then you would have to re-bless it, just like you do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
The other question is, do priests get attacked more than laity in the work that we do? because priest, being, with a higher authority. I'm going to say no. If you watch, Zach Baggins' show, every time there's a fake priest that goes on there, he gets scratched, he gets shoved, and I've never seen that.
Poor Zach.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, poor guy.
And if you ever see a priest get that attacked, you'll have to ask, is he a real priest? And you'll read out, and you'll find out he's in scandal or he's a phony priest. Mm-hmm. It'll be something like that. And I think priests are more protected than laity, so if laity start getting attacked, which you're not supposed to, it means you need to step up your prayers or you're not.
You're not called. You have stepped over. You have exited your pay grade, and you are chomping on somebody else's watermelon. You better back off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all priests are supposed to be able to be appointed, but they do look for those special attributes that are actually outlined in the Exorcist handbook that they get assigned. What they're looking for, the piety, and it's sort of like a profile.
You can't ride on shirt tails when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So that should dispel that. And by the way, when you get attacked, that's not a sign that you're a threat and that they know that you're a threat, and they're just no.
It's not a badge of honor.
It means you're
kids.
vulnerable, and that you probably shouldn't be doing the work, or you need to talk to somebody about what you can to test it. Most people don't know. It's like we understand that, if you don't do the prayers every day, as we just, found Father Chad had to find out on his own, that we found through the School of Hard Knocks back in, we even say as recent as 10 years ago, if I didn't say the prayers every day, you leave a hole in your garden fence, and the rabbits get in and eat the carrots. And of course, in that case, it could be appliances and stuff that go out, not just carrots getting pulled out of the ground and eaten.
Right, and nickel and dime you to death,
Literally.
Yeah, and that can add up. And even the priests have that, that they'll get, or a deacon, anybody who enters into this. We're talking about specifically about priests, because that final ordination, giving them the attributes to, perform all the 7 sacraments. But I think that's an adequate one on that one. So what was the other? Was there another question from the chat room?
No, I don't know. Deb, Mike, do you guys have any other questions that you guys noticed?
Someone posted. Anybody patrolling in there?
I haven't seen it.
Don't see anything.
I haven't seen anything.
Nothing at all?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything.
No.
Mm-hmm. Well, someone asked something about the Ouija board.
We have a few more minutes.
Mm-hmm. And the Ouija board about, if it doesn't matter if you put your hands on it or not, and it doesn't, because you don't have to touch the Frank's box, what they used to call, which is called the shack hack. Remember, it doesn't matter what out there you use. If you're doing necromancy with a Charlie game, and in Pendulum, they used to call it Kreskin's ESP game.
Yeah, remember that?
And it was like they gave you a board that you fold open, just like a Parker Brother, or like a Milton Bradley game, but you got a pendulum with a big thing on there on a chain, and then you put it in the center, and then it swung to the letters of the alphabet, and you asked the questions like a Ouija board. So it didn't matter how it came; it's the matter how you use it. It's like
okay. Can we have a question from the chat room?
Okay.
I know the answer, but I'm going to let Ken answer it.
Good.
Wait. Where'd she go? Hold on. I'll get her.
Okay. Thank you, Deb.
How can a soul choose to stay?
As in human soul, ghost, Ken.
Sometimes they're attached to worldly goods. Like, what if I make a promise to my daughter when I'm on my deathbed? I'll never leave you. I'll see you through the rest of your life. Well, unfortunately, for some, you're probably going to be held to those vows, that you made a vow, before God. You don't have to say, in Jesus' name, I swear this, or anything like that. But sometimes you're held to that, and you're going to bind yourself here. I mean, it's a kind of a penance that you put yourself into. And you might be monitoring that situation like an angel on a cloud, but more so up close and personal. Or you might you're worried about your family, and you're going to need to pray for that person so that their angel will come and say, it's time for you to let your family go. They're going to be okay without you. And sometimes you got to pray to get that pushed, because the person chooses to stay and linger. And this is from, case study and all that stuff. And you're going to say, where did Aquinas say that? you know. So we can pull Jordan Almond's book, which is the interpretation of Aquinas, and
also, Ken, if it was tragedy like a car accident, and they didn't know they died, and they still had unfinished business.
Yeah, I think it's the unfinished business.
They refuse to acknowledge their death, and they refuse to go in to meet the light with everybody waiting for them, including Christ. They refuse. See, this is what people don't understand. God gave our souls a choice. He will not take our free will in this life or the next. He will not.
You know,
so there is a price to pay for these souls that choose to stay here, folks. Do not think for 1 minute that they're going to instantly get to go hang out with Jesus because they choose to stay here due to their attachments.
Yeah, there's so many ways you can be here, you know, and a variety of ways. You know, that one priest said one time something, and you meant it, that when you actually go to hell, you've actually walked in there. And I kind of wondered if you ever get to that state where you're like in a back alley and you decide that instead of going to the mission on the right, you go to hang out. It's like, hey, porn, booze, free drugs, and you go walk in there because that's the lifestyle you choose because you didn't know anything else. It can be something simple as that in a visual. Well, I don't know because we don't.
I know, right?
That's the part we don't know. Well, we know about the purgatory scenarios.
Eternity, Ken.
The what?
Who wants to suffer eternity? Have that
they walk right in and don't know. They say, I want to go hang out with the Satanists, the people who love life too much and not God.
Yes.
You know? And so, the scenarios vary so much to why a person could be here. You know, like the Padre Pio's ghost in the chapel, the castle maid, who was seen in one of the England castles, and the castle was damaged in a war, you know, like 200 years prior, and people can still see her ascend the stairs that no longer exist there. She doesn't acknowledge anybody's presence. She still goes along the place and cleans it. According to some reports, there's a lingering spirit, but there's also a legend that she stole from the family, and then when she got found out, she ran and she fell off and died. I think that's what it was. And so now she's like, you know, like doing some community service, still cleaning the place, you know, because she died, you know, suddenly means you died without repentance. And you might have to do a community service that's not pleasant, or it could be very long, but it's better than hell, you know.
Yes,
so I guess that kind of summarizes it then to people, you know.
We have somebody, Valerie, from the chat room. She says they need to let go before they can move on. Yeah. We need to practice detachment now. And that's true.
That's true.
Because
wow, that's good.
I actually held my mother in my arms, and she didn't want to go. She told me, she goes, I don't want to go. I don't want to die. And when the priest came and everything, and we were all surrounding her, the whole family, I said, it's okay, Mom, to let go. I said, go with my son. I said, Jason is waiting for you. And she did.
Yeah, you're honoring your mother in a big way.
Right?
Yeah, it was a good thing. Because she was suffering. So it was a good thing.
Oh, gosh, honey, I'm sorry.
Yeah, my dad wouldn't let go either, and my mom talked him through it. And she could tell when he started drifting away, I'll be okay, I'll be okay. And she's basically telling him, you can know they can
left,
see. She
was on the phone. Please, Kenny, you need to come help me. Your mom was
already
so
dead.
Scared. I know. But she held his hand, and then she called for you.
I had to drive 3.5 hours to get there. That's a bad thing about being far
but
away
you raced
from
to your
everybody.
mom's side. She was scared
to death. They don't want to let go.
No.
We have to talk them into it.
Literally.
Because we know what's best for them. We know that they need to go to the light. And I've always told my children, here that are here with me, and my husband, when it's time to go, if you see the light, go to the light. And, you know, that's what I've instilled in them, and I hope they take that with them.
Yeah, they kind of
go to the light.
They kind of, I don't know what you call it, distorted that with Poltergeist, and you got that midget in there, a self-proclaimed psycho medium, and she's like saying, and they made fun of that for years in all these comedies, like, Rover, go to the light. There's peace and serenity in the light. No, don't go there. In Poltergeist anyway. But it's like because if they make the choice there, it doesn't matter if you go there or not. God's going to say, hey, it's not your time, or your angel, whoever.
Exactly, Ken. You are exactly right.
Yeah.
Because when I had a miscarriage and my other son was 2 years old, I lost a baby. And I saw the light, and I wanted to go to the light. And a voice kept saying, not now, not now. And I wanted to go. It was the best feeling I ever felt in my life.
Yeah.
The best. And you were going to want to go. But then on the other end, I felt my husband slapping my face and bringing me back and saying, no, don't leave me, don't leave me. We have a son here we have to raise. I was 2 years old.
Yeah, he needed you. And you need each other. And it's like, don't go by that second
light. Believe me, Ken, you can't imagine in this world what that light feels like.
I never had that kind of experience that Farah did. A couple near deaths and drowning that Farah had. So she has an idea of that. You remember that guy that we had on one time? It was I forgot his name. He was a suicide person who wanted to send himself to that experience again because he actually drowned and got pulled out of the water and had that peaceful serenity. So when life got really bad, he decided, I'm going to go send myself there, but he experienced hell. And he was on our show, and I can't remember. Was that show or the other? I was on another show before me and you and your brother started Demonology Today. But I think that it is time for the show to wind itself up.
Say good night, sweetheart. Good night.
God bless.
Enjoy your cereal, Mikey.
Will do.
I'm so glad you got okay and you're like kicking and screaming again.
Oh, yeah.
Kicking and screaming one way or another.
All right, Deb, we love you. Hey, everybody in the chat room, thank you for joining us. Steve, Ann, Zulma, and everybody else. Jennifer, Elizabeth. Oh, my gosh, I can't even name everybody. Valerie. My gosh, you guys, thank you so much for everybody showing up tonight and hanging out with us and bearing with us. And I guarantee you we're going to have 2 super swag bags for you guys next week. We'll try and post something. And guess what? Don't forget, battle's already been won. We're here to help you fight the fight and win it right. So hang tight, do your prayers, rabbits, and we'll see you next week.
God bless everybody. Next week, same time, same
night,
channel.
Mikey. Night, Deb.
We'll be on.
Night, John boy.
Night, Marilyn.
Good night, guys. Love you.
Oh, my gosh. Buenos nachos.
Bones and nachos. God bless everybody.